can't stay away, stay away. I just keep on moving till you're next to me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I feel good. You gotta get in my heart. It's always open. I feel good. 'Cause in my heart I know it's you that I've chosen. Yeah. I feel good. You gotta get in my heart. It's always open.
It is time for the High Five. I'm Nate Manahan here in beautiful, sunny Indianapolis, Indiana, where the world is looking spring. We're less than 6 weeks from the Indianapolis 500, and where payments business are thriving. And that's because, we hang out with some of the best payments minds in the world. And that is on the left-hand side of your screen from Colorado Springs, where golf season has come to Glenwood Springs. Colorado Springs, a little further down the mountain. We're probably doing that. Mr. Danny Shar. Danny, how is golfing in Glenwood Springs going to be for you later today? Will there still be some snow on the outskirts of the course?
This is the first day that I'm really starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting into spring. The warm weather's here. I'm playing golf today in our men's club, and later this evening. And this is one of my favorite times of year. I think now after that long winter, and especially with Brian Linke being in paradise, it's everything I need it to be.
Well, the center part of your screen, coming to you from the suburbs of Tampa Bay, Florida, looking out on a beautiful sunny but breezy day, Mr. Brian Linke. Brian, how are the Rays doing since you moved to Florida? Come on, bringing luck to the state of Florida.
The Tampa Bay Rays are 10-0, going for 11. Well, first time since 1987, I think, that a team has started 10-0. So, people are excited here. The Lightning aren't doing so well, but the Rays are. Cubs won a big game last night, but as you can see, it's a little bit breezy here today. It's actually kind of cool. Sort of, kind of. Not really.
Oh, well, I'm not going there. But we're going to talk about managing your reputation, but really more specifically, we could talk about like making sure your Google business profile is set up, things like that. But we're going to talk specifically about the things you do after you sign up a merchant and how that helps you get 2 to 3 more merchants from that one merchant. And one of the people that I know that's the best at that is a guy named Brian Linke. Because Brian, I got to watch you for the last 8 years when you were living in the northern tundra up here, work and build a relationship with businesses in Warsaw, Indiana. Population, county's 75,000 people. Not a real, but a tight-knit community. And for every one merchant you're going to sign up 3 or 4 more. How important is when you after the relationship and building your reputation of following through right after you sign someone up, and how does that work and help you grow your portfolio multiple times over, more than just that one merchant?
I can tell you this, and you can talk to Billy West, our chief operating officer, about it. He and I actually had a conversation the other day, and I said, Bill, I said, you remember when I first started, and like the first 30 merchants that I signed up, I never, and this is before cash discount, I never ever talked about pricing. Matter of fact, I mean, I didn't even know like how to do it. I didn't even like interchange plus tiered pricing. I didn't even like really understand. I still don't understand it. So all I did was go based on my well, not my reputation, but my relationship with the people that I knew, and the referrals that I got from them, and the reputation that I was granted, and that I earned from that. So like I never even talked about like how much the pricing was. People just decided to go with papers that go with me based on my reputation and what I said.
Well, and watching you do that, I mean, it's what sets you apart, but it's also a reminder, and I'll go with you, Danny, on this, that too many of our people, and I'm not going to say our partners, because I think our partners are above the standard and the average in the industry, but too many people in our industry that are in the sales game, as soon as they get that signed a contract, and maybe they get them to that first transaction and getting set up, but they're on to the next deal. And if they'd focus a little more on that first 3 months, that maybe working with that person and the reputation they have with that person can turn into more deals than, focusing 4 days a week on cold calls. There's a balance there, but I think we tend to go, hey, we're going to go making calls on new merchants instead of saying, how can I help make sure this merchant's happy because they're going to recommend me, right, Danny? What do you think?
Yeah. The struggle is real for sure. I mean, as salespeople, we always want to be focused on sales, right? And you probably, as you've talked to us or heard a lot of our content, we're all about building pipelines, and that way you've got a constant flow of deal opportunities coming in, right? And it's very easy to set these merchants up, get them up and running, having them work with the POS company, for example, doing training, or have our activations team reach out to them and maybe follow up with them a week later, make sure they're all taken care of, but not really being as engaged as all of us would like to be because we're focused on everything else that we're trying to still drive in business. But you're right, Nate. I mean, there's something to be said about that, and being able to really find the time if we can in our schedules. And I kind of go back to where we've talked about creating different times in your week that can help, open up some time for you to do things like this, right? Which none of us take enough time to do, but that follow up and that engagement and that extra type of support, and really that first initial dating period, if you will, as we're just getting started, can be massive into helping you get referral partners from all these merchants.
Well, and Brian, I mean, your existing, it's not every merchant, but your existing customers, your existing merchants represent a network of friends and people that they can refer you to that are sometimes much more lucrative than going out and calling on 6 people that you've never met with. And how do you identify every merchant deserves good service, making sure they're up and running, answering phone calls, making sure they know how to take care. But then some of them deserve exceptional over the top service because they are a bulkhead to 15 more businesses because they are part of a network or something. Is there a way that you identify that when you're working with a merchant and realize, man, they are just the opening to a whole new set of opportunities, and if I have a great reputation with them, they're going to refer me to even more businesses?
I was just talking to my son about this. When you walk into somebody's office, you can right away kind of gauge like what type of a person it is. So if he's a referral, she's a referral from somebody else. You don't really know that person, but they know somebody, and you walk in, and all of a sudden you're looking, and there's little league pictures on the wall, or there's a fish on the wall, or there's something that you can relate to, and you get into that conversation with them, and all of a sudden you're building that rapport with somebody. Then they're gaining. One thing that we're not talking about here is trust, right? You have to earn your trust. And the only way you do that is by becoming their friend. And the thing is, if you're faking it, they know it, right? They know it right away. So you're walking. I'm not saying it's I'm a sports guy, and I'm talking about little league pictures and fit, but okay, it could be anything. It could be a painting on the wall. It could be a book on the bookshelf that you've read, or you recognize the author or something like that. And, now you're into a conversation about everything other than payments. And from somebody who referred you, okay, that combination right there is, I mean, if you can't sell that deal, then you're in the wrong business.
When I think about absolutely when you're a lot of times you hear this a lot in the SaaS world, and those who are selling like software as a service, you hear that what is the CAC, customer acquisition cost? In our world, we don't talk about it all days, but a lot of that time is not just physical dollars, but also time, energy, and peace. And sometimes we have to think through also not only how much are we willing to spend in our time, energy, and sometimes real money in getting a new customer, but if we ignore a current customer and they attrit in some way, they go to another business, they don't get the service they need, they go find someone else. What does that cost you when suddenly you're making $100 a month on that business and you sign two more businesses that only make you $25 a month? And you start thinking, okay, how do I balance all this and make sure that I'm spending as much time on my current customers as I am on my future customers? And Danny, that's a real struggle for our partners. Lots and lots of, and I think a lot of that changes when you're an individual versus, I think that I always say the first hire you should have to be someone who takes care of those operations and make sure that they're getting on the phone the calls for you and making sure you're taking care of your current customers if you're the person that's out there doing the selling. But I think a lot of our partners don't know how to always handle that and transition and make sure they're keep giving balance to that.
I mean, you're exactly right. And I talk to people about that often, right? If you're looking to build a team, and as salespeople, we're first thought is let me hire more salespeople and duplicate and multiply what I'm already doing, right? But if you can create that position behind the scenes to really do a lot of that follow-up and create that extra experience for you, all of this conversation is about how can we get more business and more referrals from these current customers we've got, right? And as you've got these merchants that have been on the books for a while, the unfortunate reality is we only talk to them if there's an issue, right? If there's no news, it's good news, right? Everybody's happy. And, as salespeople, we don't really have the time or take the time or find the time to do a lot of that follow-up and really kind of see if we can pull some business out of it. And I think that's one of the most important things that we can do to leverage our current portfolio to gain new business. And if you have the time to do it, fantastic. As your portfolio grows, you'll find that you probably won't have the time to do it because you're going to be pulled in a lot more directions. And that's where getting a person like that can really kind of focus on those merchants and maybe improve that relationship and help you reach out to them and ask for some of those referrals is really what you want to do. So I couldn't agree more, Nate. Try to hire somebody to do it if you don't have the time.
Well, and Brian, the last question for you. I think I watched you transition as we've both been at PayProTech. You were here before I was, but I remember when I first joined PayProTech, your job was trying to retention of merchants. Your goal, our focus was, hey, if we could attrit a certain percentage less of merchants, then this would help us. So you were calling and working cancellations and trying to help our partners do that. Then you've changed your focus and you're working on creating new partners. And I would say you've had a bigger impact on attrition by recruiting better and sharper partners and partners that better fit our system. And we work together to grow their business because that you were working and trying to save merchants that weren't yours, that were somewhere else's. And we're unique at PayProTech. We're 100% outside sales. It's only selling through you. That's why it's great to work with us, I believe. It's one of the selling points on us. But Brian, what do you see? So, you did a better job, and it wasn't you. You did a better job at retention, focusing on bringing in new partners than you were when you were just trying. Your whole job was focusing on trying to save merchants from closing their accounts.
Right. Well, I joke all the time about. Actually, it's not even a joke. I'm the best salesperson in this entire company. Okay, but not even Brian Linke is good enough to talk to a merchant who's calling in, who's irate, more than likely is canceled already or looking to cancel. Again, remember, no relationship with them. Not even Brian Linke is good enough to talk to that person back into processing with PayProTech. So we kind of did a 360, hired a guy by the name of Danny Shard, started this agent recruitment, agent support team, and it's changed the company. So we're bringing in and we're holding our agents accountable for their merchants, okay, which is a huge thing that we did. So every agent out there that has a merchant, because again, you don't want Brian Linky calling your merchant. I don't want you calling mine, right? You don't want me calling yours unless you ask me to. And I have no problem ever calling a merchant. But once we started this agent recruitment, agent support team, it's changed the game. The other thing is, Nate, with a lot of the leads that we're getting, we're hiring better people. And you can't win games with bad players, right? So you have to have good players to win games. I don't care what kind of a coach you have and how great of a coach it is. If your players are bad, you're going to lose. So we're hiring better people. We've got an agent support team. We're holding our agents accountable for their merchants, and everything combined in there, we're winning. And I like to win.
I like to win too. And last question to you, Danny. Your last thing, we kind of talked about maybe hiring someone to do that, but I think there's a tipping point, and it's not an exact formula. Do you have a guide? Like if you have 50 merchants on your books or 100 merchants, when do you need that help? Obviously, every merchant's different, how much support they need, but there are some guidelines when they're setting their goals. When should they start looking, man, I need to make a decision on how I'm going to actually help myself continue to grow this business and make those changes so that they can hit their 5-year goals? You're muted there, Danny.
Thank you.
You're good.
Yeah,
You're
it's
good.
different for everybody. Different for everybody depending on the portfolio that you've got, right? Some merchants obviously require more assistance than others. But again, we're talking about more than just being able to assist your merchants. We're talking about enhancing that relationship, right? And what that looks like. And that's what this position can kind of do for you if, again, you don't have the time to do it. And I think really once you get, 150, 200 accounts or more, that's really something to strongly consider, is getting somebody to help you with that piece of it. So you can continue focus on building your pipeline, focus on selling, and try to create some sort of well-oiled system that's going to be not necessarily a handoff, but, bringing somebody into the relationship after you've already teed it up and closed the deal and got everything going, being able to more or less introduce an additional player in the game that's going to help the merchant with anything they need and also just be that face of your company, I think is important. And by doing that, the merchant's going to have that level of trust with you that Brian's talking about, that they know that you're in for their business, and they're going to trust you with their word of referring you others as well. So it's huge. It's something that I think all of us should consider, especially as your portfolio grows. And what that growth is all dependent on you and what you can manage on a daily basis. If you're still able to hit all these merchants and burn the candle at both ends, more power to you. Most need some help, and having this position is going to be key.
Well, at the end of the day, people say, work smarter than harder. Well, let's just work harder and smarter. Let's do it all at once. Let's grow at the exceptional rates, and let's figure out, if you don't focus on your reputation, on taking care of your current merchants now, you're going to continue to have a chance to grow if you work really, really hard. But if you work harder and smarter, you're going to grow at percentages more because you're going to be working on your reputation. And it's going to be so much easier for you to sell. When you have 500 merchants who love you and will recommend you to other people, how much faster you grow a business when you have 100 merchants that do it and 200 merchants could care less about you. That is what we're talking about when you manage your reputation. For the work you did in March, make it even more powerful in April, because you're not only adding new business, but you're taking care of the business you already have. As we close out, we are 2 weeks from today. Mr. Brian Linky, Mr. Danny Shard, 2 weeks from today, we will be in Atlanta hanging out at the what did we call it? I'm trying to remember what the Painted Pen is the actual name. Painted Porpoise. Yeah, I couldn't come up with it off the top of my head right now. So, hey, we're going to do the Painted Porpoise, Brian Linky. Why should people come hang out with the Painted Porpoise, also known as the Painted Pin?
Absolutely. No, we're gonna have a great time. When you're hanging out with the Paper Tape Boys, it's always a good time. And getting down to Atlanta and some of the warm weather for some of these guys in the north, we're excited about it.
It's going to be awesome. And Danny Shard, what say you as we close out this incredible high five for April 11th?
Yeah, Brian said it best. I mean, it's always fun. I mean, we love these events with our partners. So if you can make it, please join us.
Absolutely. On that, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe right here on our YouTube channel. Thanks for being part of the PayPro Tech Nation, and we'll see you next time on the High Five. High five, everybody. Talk to you later.